What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you don't know me, my name is Eric. I am the tuner here at Proven Power. This is Lewis. This is our main tech. And today we are doing tires, and we're also gonna lower this Gen 3 busa. So here's the busa. We're gonna go over the bike real quick. Now, I've done a bench flash on this already. We've already done a like a mail-in flash, if you will. Nothing crazy. These Gen 3 busas, they don't produce a ton of power, but with some work, just like all the Suzukis, they can pull some power out of these things. So right now, what Lewis is doing, he's gonna take the rear tire off. We're gonna swap these out. We got some Power 5s for him that we're gonna throw on here, some Michelins. The main reason we're making this video is not necessarily on the tires, because, you know, most people already know about tires. The main reason we're making this video is to lower the bike. So in order to lower these Gen 3 busas, if you notice, on the stock upper triple tree, they basically have these clip-ons. As far as the sizing of it, you can't get the fork tube up through there. So the only way to do that is to swap out the triple tree, and what you also have to do is get new clip-ons. So you have to get a different style, rather. So the good news is we got all that. And here, this is from a friend of ours, actually. Johnny down at Exoticycle makes the triple trees, and he makes them for Brock's, and he also makes his own that have Exoticycle stamped in it. And he's also got some other ones, some other cool ones that have like the Hayabusa logo and stuff like that. Pretty cool. But anyway, so we have the upper tree here, we have the new clip-ons here, and we have his lowering links here that he supplied as well. So we did a front and rear. We did the Power 6. We swapped these out for the Power 6s. The Power 6s are good tires. They're a good happy medium in my opinion. Michelin's still a good company. You know, they make good tires. And Power 6s, I think he'll be fairly happy. And we decided to go up on the rear. So we did a 255 rear instead of the 190 that it came with. And right now we're catching Lewis in the middle here of lowering it. So we're working on the front first. So what he's doing right now, we have to take this upper triple tree off. So there's 4 bolts underneath here that hold these things in. And so again, just to kind of give you an idea, he's here loosening it. They are Loctited in. They are tough to kind of get out. So obviously he's got this one almost done. That's why it's coming out fairly easy right now. But if you look, this is more or less what they look like underneath, and they go up so, and here is the, yeah, there's the Loctite. So they got some blue on them. So don't be surprised. It is kind of wow, it is kind of
today, Junior,
going to give you a little bit of a fight. Good God, I cannot talk today.
See, that's how you know we need to eat.
Just so you guys know, so he's in the middle of it. I'm gonna let him work. I don't want to distract him too much, but we're gonna let him work. Let him finish getting that, getting this upper tree off, and then we also need to take and disassemble these clip-ons rather, and we're gonna swap out these clip-ons, because if you notice, these clip-ons are a part of the upper triple tree. So you can't necessarily, you could technically cut these off, but if you really want to get crazy with it. But with the aftermarket set of trees, which are over here, with the aftermarket, so we're going to move the busa to this lift here in just a little bit so we can lower the rest of it. But if you notice, with the aftermarket set of trees, you have where you could set your aftermarket clip-ons through here as well. So that's what we're going to do. We have the Vortex clip-ons, so we're going to go ahead and swap those out and reinstall the levers. And you know, he's obviously got his throttle tube. We've got this assembly, the electronics, the clutch. We got quite a few things that we're gonna have to take off of this and swap over. So we're gonna move all of that over to the new setup, and then we'll go ahead and proceed to lower the front. Now, this guy, this particular customer, you know, we're not gonna slam this bike. He's not out racing. You know, this isn't gonna be like a purpose built per se. This is more a street build. So this bike doesn't need to be on its nuts. We're just gonna lower it maybe about an inch and a half or so, just to give him that kind of that look that he's going for. This is mainly, he just wants the look, that lowered look. and you know, just a cleaner look. We're also going to start looking up the swing arm options, and then like we said earlier in the video, we're going to start looking up those new cams and getting them a write up on those cams. So I think he's going to go ahead and do the cams, and we'll be able to get a pretty cool dyno video on that one. So that would be really cool actually if he was able to do that. So Anthony, if you're watching this, get the cams so we can do another video. So anyway guys, we're gonna leave Lewis to it, and we're gonna check back in here in just a second, and we'll have the bike on the lift so we can finish lowering it, and we'll show you how to do the rear here in just a little bit. All right, we have the triple tree all installed. I'm gonna go over the bike real quick for you. We're gonna show you a little bit of where we're at right now. So we have this upper mounted. What you also have to do is you also have to utilize the OEM bolts and then grab some nuts. So it's an M10 by 125 thread pitch, in case you guys were wondering. And you're gonna have to get some nuts for it that fit, and go ahead and install the nuts. So you have the OEM bolt, the OEM, like kind of like a spacer, if you will, like a, I don't know what to really call it exactly. Here, let me get a light on it. Kind of looks dark in the video, but it's this guy right here. It's like an OEM spacer that comes on the OEM triple trees, and then we threw the nut on it there. So we have locking nuts on there. I recommend getting a set of locking nuts or doing some blue Loctite or both, just to ensure that it's not going to go anywhere. And then here is the here are the Vortex clip-ons installed here, and then we still have we got to tighten this all up, but we still have the front brake, you know, obviously the clutch, we got everything. We just gotta tighten it all up, but we just kind of wanted to show you guys. And on these on these clip-ons, you have to drill a hole. I'm glad Lewis kind of left this out. So you have to drill these like pilot holes, if you will, almost like they're kind of like guide holes. So on the left-hand controls and the right-hand controls, you see right, I don't know if you guys can see it through there, but like right there's like a little nub. And basically the way it works, now we're gonna have to turn the clip on, but Lewis didn't do that yet. So what it does is that locks in, okay? So we're gonna turn this, there we go. Oh, okay, good. So the clip on, yeah, we're gonna turn the clip on. So basically it locks it in. So you see how it doesn't move now, and the whole clip on moves? That's more or less how you wanna do it. You're gonna have to drill that hole though, so that way you can get this set. And again, you just kind of turn the clip on, you know, or you have it kind of set in place where it makes sense. So in case you guys had an aftermarket set of clip-ons, that's kind of the way to do it. Same thing for this side. This has also a locking mechanism. As you can see, the whole clip-on is turning with when I turn this. So anyway, whenever that's how you got to do it. So in case you're wondering, and then here you just want to set your length. You know, some people like it a little shorter, longer. Again, we just kind of go off of all of our clearances and make sure everything clears. We just double, triple check everything. So now we have it sitting flush, which in this case, even sitting flush is lowered about an inch, half inch or so roughly, because the other clip-on, or the other triple tree rather, sorry, sits higher. So now that this is sitting flush, we were able to lower these down about an inch or so. After looking at everything, it's not low enough. We were inspecting it, and we were talking to the client. We were like, look, man, I mean, we can go, you know, an inch to about 2-inch range, and that's about it, really. So I was getting in touch with them. So we're gonna split the difference. We're gonna do a little bit more. We'll probably drop it another half inch or so, roughly. And we also have to do the rear. Normally, we like to get these window links from Brock's or Soupy's. They make one. And like it's an adjustable, fully adjustable. We usually like to do that just because we kind of eyeball the front. And once we get the front, then we kind of do the rear. We want to make sure the geometry is still correct with the bike. So as we're lowering it, you don't want to, a lot of times we'll see somebody slam the rear and then they'll lower the front like a 1/4 inch or a half inch, and the bike ends up sitting like this. It has like this sag to it, like, you know, like a dog dragging its ass. So really we like to make sure the geometry is still correct so the bike still rides proper. So with that being said, we go back and forth between the front and the rears. With this lowering link, it has multiple holes. Most of these like fixed lowering links, they only have like 2 holes to choose from, and it's usually like an inch to like 2-inch range of lowering, and that's all you get. You get those 2 options. Well, with Johnny's at Exoticycle, we have 5 selections here, so we actually have a much broader range of lowering, and honestly, that kind of helps out a lot. So we're able to kind of fine-tune the lowering, if you will, with this, and it's it's pretty straightforward. So I'll go over it real quick with you guys, and I'll show you it real quick and kind of get you the concept, because we are going to change the holes and we are going to change the way the bike is sitting. We are going to lower it a little bit more. So, and I will here in just a second, I'll show you how low the bike is sitting. And then what we'll do is we'll change the holes around, and we'll change the front and the rear. And then we'll kind of show you again. It's not going to be a drastic change, but you know, you'll still kind of notice some things. So here we go. So here's the stock length. This is the stock. Here's the two stocks. So you have them on either side. All right. So if you line up the top part of it and you kind of get the center, see how we're like centered with the bolt head? So we're going to center it up. So you kind of get an idea that we're about roughly 3/4 of an inch or so, half inch or so lowered right now compared to where the OEM location is, right? So what we're gonna do, because it is definitely lowered, we can definitely tell a difference right now. You can definitely tell that it's lowered, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna move it to this hole next, which is just, I'm gonna guess probably another half inch, you know, we'll probably get another half inch to another 3/4 or so roughly. So that should kind of drop us in range that we really want the bike to be dropped. You can kind of get an idea as far as how low it is right now. So what we're gonna do again, we're gonna go back to this other hole and, or we're gonna go to this hole next and drop it a little bit more. So in turn, we're gonna go to the front and then also lower the front as well to kind of counteract what we did in the rear. We don't want the bike, again, to be sagging in the rear. So we're gonna lower the front in, you know, congruency with this. Another thing that is a huge oversight, and I'll admit, we do it too, we do it too every so often. You either A, have to cut your OEM kickstand when you lower a bike, or B, you have to get another one like a Brox or PSR, or there's some eBay ones that you can get. There's a T-Rex, I think, also sells one for certain bikes. So there's a few different companies that you can kind of look around and see depending on what bike you have. But you either need to get an adjustable one, cut your OEM one, or you can cut and then re-weld the foot of your OEM one. I personally, and this is just me, I like a nice billet piece. I like it clean. You know, we've done it before where we used to cut the OEM one and re-weld it, but to me, it always had like imperfections with it. And I'm just not a fan of it. And I don't really like the way the OEM ones look anyway. I feel like they're pretty freaking ugly just in general. And I am, I'm pretty big on aesthetics, you know, when it comes to stuff like that. They're just, again, they're not my cup of tea. I like a nice billet piece, you know. Brox has a really nice looking kickstand, so we opted to go with the Brox kickstand. Again, just the machining and everything, it looks good. They cut good lines in it. The powder coating is good, or anodizing. Everything just on it just looks good. So I like it. So we went with that one. We're still waiting on it. There's a delay in the shipping. Of course, there's a delay in the shipping. So we're waiting on that. It was supposed to be here like 2 days ago, and we're still waiting on it. So hopefully it comes today. We'll see. But you have to do the kickstand when you lower the bike. Otherwise, what's going to end up happening, and I hear this all the time, people lower the bike, they don't modify the kickstand, and the next thing you know, they tell me the horror story. Yeah, man, my bike was sitting kind of straight up, windy day, wind blew it, bike tipped over, messed up all my fairings, you know? And it's one of those stories, I hear it often, and every time I'm like, let me guess, you know, you didn't modify the kickstand, or you didn't get an aftermarket kickstand. And they're like, nope, thought we could get away with it, we just left it like that, and we couldn't. So, guys, I can't stress it enough, if you're gonna do the job right, at least cut the kickstand. So one of the drawbacks though to cutting the kickstand, because some people have asked me on other bikes, why don't you just cut the kickstand? You can, we've done it before, you know, just to get by, or the customer just didn't want to get the aftermarket one or whatever. And you can do it. The problem with that is though, and on a hot day, we live down in Florida, you know, a lot of people, there's a lot of riding in Florida, and there's a lot of riding in the heat, you know, with the summer. A lot of these asphalt blacktops, what'll end up happening is you go to throw that kickstand down, and within 20-30 minutes, the bike will actually start to dig into the asphalt, because it gets so hot down here and it's so humid, that asphalt gets a little soft. So those kickstands and the cuts will dig into the asphalt and tip the bike over. We've seen that also. My personal
ZX10, when we were doing that one, originally we cut it, same thing. We came back outside one day after lunch, and the bike was already about an inch or two into the asphalt, and I was like, oh shit. So luckily we caught it in time before the bike tipped over. So now I have a Brock's kickstand on it, so lesson learned. And you know, or if you guys want, carry around those little pucks. The pucks will do it. You just need a bigger surface area and one that's not so sharp so it doesn't dig into the ground. If you're getting any value out of this video, please subscribe to the channel if you will. That means a lot to us. It'd be greatly appreciated. And next, what we're gonna do, like I said, we're gonna start lowering the front, and then we'll start lowering the rear again, and we're going to get this thing sitting right, and then we'll start buttoning it all up. We got the new kickstand in finally. They're only 4 days late, and that wasn't Brock's fault. I want to be clear, it was not Brock's fault. They shipped it out on time. It was a shipping error on the shipping company. Go figure. So anyway, we got the kickstand in now. We wanted to, I wanted to show you guys the Brock stand versus the OEM kickstand. So here we are. Here's the Brock's. Oh yeah, so Lewis is in the middle of modifying it. We're getting the length right. So the one we opted to go for, Brock sells a couple of different variations of this. They have a street version and a track version. With my experiences, I usually prefer the track version regardless, because the street version, well, the street one's just so tall. And a lot of times if it's, if you go to a certain lowering point, like it's kind of like you don't have the adjustment ability in the kickstand. So this one is basically from, again, we'll have to double check this, but I want to say this one is from anywhere from 1 inch lower to like slam to like 4 inches lower. This one can handle our 3.75. Yeah. So what we're gonna do, guys, again, we're gonna put it most likely on its tallest setting, and then we're gonna lower the bike just a little bit more, probably another 3/4 inch or so, ½ inch. We're gonna lower it, and that way we could utilize this kickstand still, and it should work out. I mean, it is a pretty drastic jump when you actually look at this comparison here. But again, we've probably lowered it a good, I don't know, we're probably gonna lower it a good 1.5 inches or so. So we'll probably be around here. So ideally, we're pretty damn close. You know, we'll see what happens when we get the bike off here. We're gonna throw the kickstand down and we'll see, but technically we are going to be in the range that they are requiring, so we'll see. So stick with us, guys. We're gonna start lowering the rear and the front, and we'll get it off the lift here. We're actually gonna show you a little bit on the rear. We'll show you guys kind of how we do it, more or less. We'll give you a gist. So you want to lower it nice and slow and controlled. That's the biggest thing. You want to control how you lower the bike. So you don't want to just literally slam it. There's a method.
Send it.
There's a method to the madness. So if you notice, we have a little scissor jack here, and we have our we changed Lewis rather went ahead and changed the location from this hole to this hole. So basically what you want to do is loosen all this up and then slowly lower it utilizing the jack until you lined up with the proper hole. Then you slide the bolt through, and wham, wham, there you go. And so that's basically doing the rear. And let's take a little look here.
Raise the bike up a little bit or lower it a little bit, because it's probably stuck.
Yes. So if you guys didn't hear Lewis, basically what he was saying, if the bolt is binding, you either want to raise it up a little bit or lower it a little bit, depending upon how much it's binding and how it feels. So that way you can slide the bolt out nice and easy, and you know that the level is correct. So I don't know if you guys can tell, but I remember I got a shot of the rear end, and here it is now with just that one step lower. This is the stance that I think is going to be, it's going to be perfect. I feel like this is going to be, we have just enough of clearance up underneath there. We probably got a good 3-4 inches of clearance still up underneath there. So I feel like this is going to sit right. We're about 1.5 inches, about probably 1.25 inches rather, I would say 1.25 inches to 1.5 inches lower than stock. So there we go. So you can see the stock hole, and you can see where the new hole is. So yeah, we're definitely down a little bit from stock. We got the busa outside. It was a little difficult to see it while it was sitting in the wheel chock to determine how it looked as far as if we got our geometry right here on the front and the rear. So we went ahead and got it off the rear stand, and we're sitting right. This thing looks killer. Now we dropped about 1.5 inches on the front, and basically about the same on the rear. So just wanted to let you guys know, we also fitted this thing with some new shoes. We got the Michelin Power 6s. on there, the front and the rear. I think he's going to be super happy about these. These are awesome tires compared to those stock Bridgestone battle axes. Those battle axes, they are definitely not recommended. We've seen a lot of issues with those OEM tires, but anyway, the stance looks pretty damn good. All in all, we are pretty solid. I think he's going to be thrilled with this. He's got plenty of ground clearance. We got plenty of room underneath the front fender still. And again, if he wants to go a little bit lower, we can do that for him if he really wants to. But all in all, I feel like the stance looks pretty good. And again, once he puts his weight on there, it's going to contract another probably, I don't know, about 3/4 of an inch to an inch or so. We'll also take a look here at the triple tree. Just gonna wipe it a little bit here, but the triple tree looks good. Everything is nice and solid. Lewis got that nice and bolted in here. Same thing, nice and stiff. Nice throttle pull. Everything feels solid. So anyway, we're gonna wrap this thing up and go ahead and give it back to the customer, see how he likes it, and go from there. Admittedly, I know about the fronts. We didn't show in depth on the front, but to be honest with you, to get the camera up there, it's a bit of a pain. So if you look down in here, these are your lower trees, and they're 12mm heads. All right, these are hexagon heads. You have this 6mm Allen that's right here. This is for the lower tree, and then you not lower tree, but the one underneath the upper. So you have this one, and then you have these 4 bolts that bolt in. So, and then we had to order some nuts for it, but we got the M10 by 125 nut, and we went ahead. Again, you just want to tighten everything up. You want to tighten these pinch bolts up, 1, 2, 3 down there. And then again, we're also going to want to tighten all this up like we showed you earlier in the video. So tomorrow we're going to wipe the bike down. It's getting a little bit later in the day. We're starting to hit sunset here, as you can tell. So we're going to actually clean this bike up tomorrow right before he picks it up. We're going to make sure it's nice and fresh. Wipe down the wheels, just clean everything up and get it prepped. We'd like to do that with every single bike that we do a job on. We like to give it a quick wipe down, clean it up. You know, I had a pet peeve. One time I felt really bad for a customer. I actually did a full job on a bike and got the bike out. I was just trying to hurry it up. Then the guy even told me, he said, dude, thank you for everything that you've done, but you left smudges all over my bike. And honestly, I brought it in clean. It just kind of got at me a little bit, and I'm really glad that he told me that and he pointed it out to me, because ever since that day I've made it a huge point to make sure that we keep the bikes nice and clean as we can. You know, obviously some slip through the cracks, but for the most part we try to wipe down the bikes and we try to keep them clean, and we try to let them leave looking just as good, if not better, than how they came in. So I pride myself on that. So anyway, this one's a wrap, guys. I think this one's pretty solid. So again, thank you guys for watching. Drop down below, give us some feedback, let us know what you think. If you guys got a Gen 3 Busa and you want it lowered, well, now you know how to lower it. It's really not super difficult. It honestly just comes down to you guys taking your time, making sure you have some kind of support underneath the bike, so the bike just doesn't fall on its nuts whenever you loosen all the bolts up. So, all right. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Leave some comments down below, and leave us some love. Give us a like, give us a follow if you haven't done so already. We really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you on another episode.